Hello, everyone. Welcome in another interesting podcast of the Life, LADA Unveiled. Myself, Meenakshi Rana, low-carb nutritionist and fertility coach. You can find me on social media with my name, Fit and Hit Mom. I help busy women to lose weight, balance her hormones, and get pregnant. I'm also co-founder of an awesome community, Fit Family, Hit Family, which is on a mission to make 1 million families healthy and obesity-free. And let me tell you about this awesome platform, Indian low-carb platform, D-Life, which has more than 250 plus success stories and 1,200 plus Indian low-carb and keto recipes. And Mr. Anup, who was an IITian, is a founder of D-Life, and he's a pioneer in LCHF movement in India. And in April 2021, he won an award of Icons of India. And now, friends, let me put spotlight on today's speaker, our Honorable Dr. Gurmeet, who holds a PhD in nuclear physics and has embarked on an incredible case study on LADA. And let me tell you about her accolades. She is PhD from Punjab University, Chandigarh, in experimental nuclear physics in collaboration with IUAC New Delhi, worked as a researcher in European government project in Europe for 2 years, won Women Scientist Award twice by DST India, won Dr. DS Kothari Award by UGC, and has published more than 30 publications in reputed journal. Oh my God, so many accolades and awards. It's a great honor to host you, Dr. Kaur, and we all welcome you with a great round of applause on this podcast. So welcome.
Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you so much. Thank you for the warm welcome, and I would like to thank D-Life, especially Anup Singh, Shashikant, who really gave me the opportunity to come here and share the life stories that we all are together handling the people, helping them with the metabolic disorders. So thank you so much. I hope that this success story will really, this will really impress many people and they will take an initiative for their health.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm curious, and I know many of our audience here will also be, that we want to know your journey from a nuclear scientist to a nutritionist, like how you came into this space.
Yeah, sure, Meenakshi. Yes, actually, I have never thought about that I will ever be in this nutrition field because, working as a nuclear physicist for like more than 10 years. So I just roam around the different countries, presented my work, and but the God has different plan for me. I was in Europe in 2016 and I was working as a researcher. And one day when I received a call from my home that my mother, she had an accident. And you can't believe it was just like a blank for me. I just immediately next day, I couldn't sleep that night. And the next day, immediately I called my boss that I'm not coming, I'm not well. And immediately after half an hour, I just called my boss that I want to leave, I want to go back, I want to resign. He said, why, what happened? You just come to my office, we will discuss. If there is some emergency, you just come and talk to me if something has happened. So I just went to him, I said, I explained everything. I said, I just want to go back. So he said, no, this is not possible. You have to at least give the 15 days notice for all the formalities you have to finish. So I said, it's not possible for me because I have to leave today itself. He said, okay, I will give you 3 to 4 months. You just give me your resignation, but I will keep it with me and, then forward to the higher authorities after 4 to 5 months. So if you really didn't want to come back, you just call me and tell me. So immediately I came back, at that time, while all the tests were done for my mother, she was also diagnosed with diabetes. And what happened is, what I see is like her blood sugar was around 200, 300. And, one night I just checked before sleeping her blood sugar, it was 400. And
Oh.
there was a family doctor who was just helping us with managing the blood sugar. I called him immediately, and what he said is, Jasmeet, it's not possible now, because first he started with the glimepiride and metformin combination. Then he added gliptins like DPP-4 inhibitors, and then finally he also added pioglitazone. And then when I see that her blood sugar was around 400, I called him and he said, no, it's not possible. We have to switch to the insulin. That's the only option. That night I really couldn't sleep, and I was just thinking, I was doing really big things. And we were, I was publishing so many articles. And, my family members always used to ask me, you are working so hard. Whenever they used to call me, when are you coming back? I have to publish this article. My article is on my way. I have to write and all that. So we were always, in my community, nuclear physics community, we were always talking about the impact factors of the journals in which we were publication. We were sending our publications. But then at that night, I thought, what's the use of all this knowledge that I have if I couldn't even get the answer of this small thing? That why all the medications are not working for my mother. Nothing is working. We have tried everything, all the different combination of salts we tried, but nothing worked for her. So I thought that I think my knowledge is really of no use. That's why my parents used to ask me, you are working so hard, but what are you doing for a common man? So that day I realized, what's the use? So I thought that whole night I just keep on searching. Like I thought that there must be something. Insulin is not the answer. That I knew that insulin was never the answer. So finally I landed up on Health Unlocked. It's a forum, and there I see the post was made by Anup Singh, and he was talking all about low carbohydrate. There were other people also, they were talking about the different things, when we go to the forum, everybody, they share their experience. But what Anup was saying, because being a scientist, being a researcher, I tried to find the scientific evidence behind everything. So whatever Anup was saying, I see that there is something behind this. There are scientific evidence on PubMed available. There are so many articles available. So immediately next day, I just registered on DayLife. And from the first day itself, you can see her blood sugar start to drop to the normal levels. So that day,
Wow.
relaxing for me, and and I didn't stop there. I just keep on learning, and I read so many articles. It was not just about the metabolic disorders. I tried to read about the human physiology, what actually human physiology is. So I spent around 2 years, and then finally in 2019, when Anup made an announcement about this low carb certification course, I just immediately enrolled in that. I just wanted to take it to the next level, because the knowledge or everything, the information that I acquired in last 2 years, I wanted to take it to another level so that I can help many, many people, so that I can reach out to many people and help them. Because I can imagine through what the family they go through, like, when they, in such situation, nobody was there to help. Nobody was ever talking about.
Yeah.
My family doctor, I used to ask, my mother is eating morning, she's eating this in breakfast, this in the lunch. Please help. What should I change? Tell me something that I can change that can help her with the blood sugar. He said, no, nothing. Everything all right. So you just keep the whole grains and all these things. So that's the main thing that, finally now I am helping many, many people. And now I am seeing people with the metabolic disorders, gut issues, and even the psychological issues because of this gut-brain connection, and also the autoimmune issues, for which I am here today to discuss about the LADA case, which is an autoimmune condition. So that's all about my journey.
Yeah, definitely. You rightly said that God had a different plan for you. And now, along with your research papers and all your awards, you are helping common man, okay? And you are able to help your family, okay? So definitely, sometimes we also feel that the knowledge we are taking, it is of no use if we are not valuable to our family and our community and our people.
Yeah,
so great and very courageous step you took. And now I think you'll be thinking that that was the right thing you did. Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah, definitely. I'm so much satisfied. It's so gratifying when I see the people, I am now able to give answer to other people, like about their health issues. I just, it's like, that what we do on D-Life, we are not giving any diet charts. We are just helping people. We are just educating them, so they can even help more and more people. That is our aim.
Yeah. This low carb diploma is a certification course, and many certification courses are there in D-Life. If any of the audience want to register for their own health or to, help other people, they can register. Link is given in the description box. And amazing inner circle community, lot of hand holding, and special for those who are having metabolic health problems. They can log their, diets and readings, blood reports, and you will get definitely great hand holding and suggestions over here. Yeah, over to that, our case study, your case study. We want to know what is LADA, because it's a different kind of term. We heard many of times type 1, type 2. Well, this is quite uncommon. So what is this?
So yes, it's better that we start with the definition of LADA, because many people may be new to this. People are very much aware of type 1 and type 2 diabetes, but there are multiple types of diabetes. And today we are going to talk about this LADA. So what actually LADA is? It's actually latent autoimmune condition of diabetes that develop in the adulthood. So sometimes people also call it as type 1.5 diabetes. This is because the features of LADA, they are actually a blend of type 1 and type 2. That's why we call it type 1.5. So as the name, it implies an autoimmune. So autoimmune condition means in this, our body's own immune system, it views the beta cell, that insulin forming beta cells, as an invader. So they think that they have to destroy these beta cells, because for them, these are the pathogens and may harm our body. So this is the condition that we call an autoimmune. So the antibodies our immune system develop against any healthy tissue or organs, like we are having different autoimmune conditions like rheumatoid arthritis, thyroid, and celiac, and so on. Similarly, in LADA, they develop the antibodies against the insulin forming beta cells. Now, how it's different from type 1, because type 1, it's also an autoimmune condition. But the thing is, like LADA, it's just slowly progressing. But what happens in type 1, rapidly all the beta cells are dead. And sometimes when the people, they are first diagnosed with the diabetes, they actually land up in the hospital with the DKA, like the diabetes ketoacidosis. But in the case of the type 1.5 diabetes, it's actually these people, they can stay with the oral medication. They can manage their diabetes even without the oral medications, if they can go to the low carb. So that's why it's a blend of type 1 and type 2. We call it type 1.5 diabetes.
Okay. So what is diagnosis criteria for it? Like, how will we come to know that this is not type 2 or this is not type 1? What is the criteria for that?
Actually, Meenakshi, diagnosis is very critical in this case. Basically, what happens is, as it's an autoimmune condition, I will not go into much detail about the autoimmune thing, but just to give you the brief overview of it. Actually, autoimmune conditions, it has 3 stages. The first one is, like in that case, the antibodies against any organ or tissue was there in the blood, but person remain asymptomatic. Like in the case of LADA, there are antibodies, like we have different antibodies. Let's say GAD65, which is very common, that's positive, but blood sugar is still normal and there is no damage already been done to the beta cells. And the second stage is when there is still no noticeable damage, but the person start to see surges in the blood sugar. So that is the second stage. And the third stage is, what happens is antibodies are already there and the blood sugar level is high. And it's that high that because now there is some noticeable damage has already been done by the antibodies. So the key is that earlier you diagnose, better you will be in future. Because, this damage is slowly progressing. Antibodies are attacking our beta cells and, trying to destroy them. Earlier we diagnose, but what happened is because this type 1.5 diabetes, it's mostly its onset is above 30 years. And when a person go to the doctor, like the case that I will today discuss, so you can see when she went to the doctor, her blood sugar was around 300, 350. But the doctor considered this lady as a type 2 diabetes. So she followed the similar strategy, similar medical strategies for this lady as well. So what happened is, so she gradually, her C-peptide level keep on reducing. So whenever somebody, like, in type 2 diabetes, what we do, we see that the person is obese, might be having some eating disorders, must not be having poor sleep quality, having chronic stress, and all these things, must not be eating right. But this, we consider type 2 as a lifestyle choice, but this type 1.5, it's not a lifestyle choice. It can happen with anybody. Even if somebody is following a healthy low carb lifestyle, this condition can occur, So what we have to see is, we have to see if the person is not obese, having normal BMI or normal waist to height ratio, and still that person is diagnosed as diabetes. The first test we must do is, we must go for the antibodies test. And then if antibodies are positive, we directly must go to the, before we give insulin or other drugs, we either go for C-peptide, fasting insulin. Why C-peptide? Because we actually have to see the current scenario, that is her body's own ability to manage the blood sugar. That is most important, because C-peptide will tell us if it's in the normal range, if it's below normal, or the person is already near to zero.
Okay. So great. These insights are really incredibly valuable. And we got some clue that how can we diagnose this LADA. So my next question to you is, why this low carb is helpful in managing this?
Yeah, sure. I think, Meenakshi, I can share one slide with you people, because I have put some references, so it will be easy if somebody is in it, they can go and you can search. So this LADA, which is type 1 diabetes, as I have already mentioned, that people consider it as a type 2 diabetes. So it's often misdiagnosed. So what happens is, for the first study that I found, there may be some other studies. So that states that this antibodies were seen in the type 2 diabetic people who were above the age of 30. That was first investigated in 1977. But this concept of LADA, it came in 1993, decades later. But at that time also, the people were not completely understood what actually this condition is. But when it comes to managing this LADA condition, there are many articles available, but here I put the one, they have actually covered all the different aspects or the strategies that we have to follow while managing the blood sugar for the LADA patients. Actually, what they did is, they accumulated the data for the LADA patients of different age group. And from that, they found out that what will be the best strategy for these people. And managing LADA while low carb is the only way to go. I would say there is no other option available, because, we have to set two main goals while managing the LADA condition. First one, of course, it is a metabolic control. We have to control the blood sugar. But we have to plan the strategy for the first one. We have to take into consideration our second goal, which is, we have to prevent or delay this damage, which is being done by our autoimmune condition, or our hyperactive immune system. So it's not that, like the type 2 diabetes, the doctors just start with the glimepiride, like the insulin-giving drugs, like gliptins and all the other things that actually activate the beta cells more and more. Because what this study shows? This study shows that, like insulin resistance is the one thing that can aggravate or actually accelerate the beta cell loss. And the second thing, which is very important, what they say is, if we somehow inhibit the beta cell activity, that can reduce the antigen expression, and that will directly delay the autoimmune response. So that is the main thing, because I followed this.
And that's why now how we can inhibit the beta cell activity? What does it mean? We have to inhibit the beta cell activity, of course. We don't want the blood sugar surges. We don't want blood sugar to go that high so that the beta cell get active. So low carb is the only way to go. There is no other option available for this. So another thing is, like they said, if we give sulfonylurea drugs like insulin whipping drugs, that will further activate the beta cells. Then, and that can further, you can accelerate this autoimmune response. So if the person C-peptide level is very low and person residual beta cells have greatly reduced, the best approach is to go for insulin. Okay, so that's what I followed. So the lady that she came to me, she was already on insulin. But we managed, because that I will show you in my next slide when we discuss about her case.
Okay, great, fantastic explanation, and your expertise is really shining through. And another question is regarding your case. We all want to hear from you that what's the history of that lady which came, who came to you, and what were the previous treatment she was going through. We want to know that.
Yeah, sure. So this is, she is a female, 42 years, and she was diagnosed with high blood sugar in August 2020. She was somewhere in a family function where everybody was asking her, like, why your energy level is so low? You used to be like very energetic and all. So then she said, like, from the last 2 to 3 months, her energy level is low. She couldn't even sleep. Her blood pressure remains low. Even her hemoglobin level is low. Frequent hunger is there. Then somebody suggested, why don't we do some blood tests? So the first thing they did is, like, the Lalpat lab, he only suggested, the technician suggested, okay, let's first do your blood sugar. The blood sugar was random was 350.
Oh.
Yes. So this was in August 2020. So then what happened is, of course, they have to go to some endocrinologists because they were in Ludhiana. That is really a very full of endocrinologists. There are different multi-specialty hospitals are there. So they went to the very renowned endocrinologist. So let me show you the history. So in August 2020, her weight was 770. When she went to doctor at that time, her blood sugar was 300. And doctor checked HbA1c, which was 9.1. So what he did, of course, the normal, what they usually do for these type 2 diabetics, he gave gliptin, metformin, and because she couldn't sleep, so he also prescribed some anti-anxiety drugs. He also prescribed some statins, and also for the blood sugar regulation, some hypertensive or for to regulate the blood pressure. Sorry. And then again, in the next visit in September 2020, same thing happened. Random was 390. So, but he repeated the same. Prescription was same. So in every month they used to go to the doctor because the blood sugar was not getting in control, because it's because she said that this was the random what doctor used to check at his office, but the fasting used to remain like above 250, randoms always around 400. But during the daytime, she used to experience 3 to 4 hypos as well. So it was like sometimes it's 40, sometimes it's 400. Whole day it was like this.
Oh,
yeah. So in November 2020, so random was this. HbA1c after 3 months was again 9%. Now doctor added another drug, or he increased some doses. So it goes on like this. So you can see in August 2020, she went to the doctor first time. And if HbA1c doesn't came below 9 even, so in in January 2022, doctor decided to do the C-peptide. So you can imagine, after almost 1 year was about to finish. So then the C-peptide came 0.53. because that lady, she was on high carb diet and she was also on insulin whipping drugs. And besides that, her C-peptide was only 0.53. Okay. And you can see her weight was reducing from 70, it came to 61.
Yes, yes.
And now the doctor, what he did is he added pioglitazone. He added again. He didn't remove the drugs. He added the basal dose, the long-acting dose, one dose in a day before sleeping, 14 units. But other drugs he keep on going on, like pioglitazone and insulin whipping drugs and metformin and so on. And then in March 2022, he went to another doctor. From here on, he went to another doctor. So at that time, HbA1c was 8.9, and that doctor removed all the drugs, and now she was on human insulin, 30/70. And the total dose was around 30 units. That was rapid acting, and the long acting was around 14 to 15 units. So then in April 2022, he again increased the insulin dose. And in November, you can see 2022. Again, it's 9.2%. And finally, at the end of April, she came to me.
Okay.
So end of April, when she came to me, I asked her to do GAD65. That was very high, above 10,000. That's above normal levels. And her C-peptide, now you can see. So in Jan, it was 0.53. In April, it was 0.13. So continuous damage was done.
Yeah.
So, and in July, we repeated HbA1c and C-peptide. Her C-peptide remained same, 0.13, but her HbA1c drastically reduced just in 2.5 months, 2.5 months. Her HbA1c then, at that time, it was 6.2 in July 2023. So you can imagine how low carb works. It's like a miracle for her,
Yeah, definitely.
That's why I say that is low carb is the only way to go.
Yeah, thank you for such a insightful this study you gave us through slides. So insightful, and it's so much clear from the blood markers.
Yeah.
So what is the present situation now?
See, actually, presently, let me show you. I have, this is her yesterday's CGM, continuous glucose monitor graph. This is when we actually started.
Okay.
So when we started, her blood sugar was sometimes 400 and sometimes it's like 40s in 40s. And this is how we proceed. And this I took from yesterday. Now, actually, her blood sugar level, it remains fasting around 80-90 mg per day. And post meals, it's sometimes even below 100 also, but usually 120 to 150. And random is mostly below 100. Now she has settled with the dose. We are using the 70-30 and just 2 70-30 doses, in which only around 8 to 9 units of rapid acting.
Okay.
And rest of them all were the long acting. She is still in the honeymoon phase. Still some insulin is being produced by her body. So we are just trying to protect beta cells. Let's see for how long she can manage.
Yes. Okay, as you are working on gut health also, Dr. Kaur, so are you using any strategy to, improve her gut health, which will help her improving C-peptide or beta cell improvement?
Yeah, actually, there are many studies available that states that this autoimmune condition is basically due to the gut dysbiosis. But nobody actually knows that what is actually triggering this gut dysbiosis. There are various factors. Some of them like environmental factors. And there are also some hormonal imbalance that is also there. Hormonal imbalance in the sense that, like in the case of women, when the women, they have like their first menstruation, at that time there is lot of fluctuations or in the hormones. So due to that fluctuations as well, this condition, like any autoimmune condition, can be triggered. And another is during the pregnancy period as well. There is a lot of fluctuations in the hormones that can also trigger this autoimmune condition. And another is while during the menopause when the hormones drop. That is another thing. And there are some food triggers as well, like the gluten, the protein in the in our food, like the gluten, some soy protein, and even lectins that we in the legumes, and even the environmental toxins that come in, like the pesticides, glyphosates, genetically modified food. So of course we have to consider everything, while because we are working for the overall health. We are not here just to give the results. So, of course, we have to work with these clients for the long term to take their follow-ups to really see if their this delay of beta cells, how they are decaying. That's very important, because this is the first LADA case which I am handling.
Okay.
Actually, I have seen that some people, they have reported their success stories who were on low carb, but in those cases, they were diagnosed at very initial stage, and they immediately switched to the low carb, and they say they, like, without insulin, they managed, even without any drug, they managed for 8 to 9 years.
Oh.
And finally, they have to take insulin, but still on low carb, we don't need much because we are only taking some physiological insulin doses. We are not going to that industrial level in the insulin doses. So the thing is, we can manage. We have to see, we have to follow these clients for the long term. That's the only way to find out.
Okay. And this client of yours, is she like vegetarian or what?
Yeah.
Oh, vegetarian.
She was vegetarian, but I shifted her to over vegetarian. So she started taking eggs. So her meal was generally, carbs were generally like below 10 grams each meal. And she was taking eggs, paneer, hung curd, and some non-starchy vegetables and all. But actually, why I think that all the credit for this success story goes to her, her daughter. She was like, very much concerned about her mother. Of course, every daughter
like you,
like
yeah.
yeah. So she was so much concerned. She tried to learn each and everything, how we have to manage with the doses, how to calculate the carbs, how to calculate the protein. So she did everything for me. It was very easy for me. I just explained each and everything, and then she did everything by herself. So she called me every time, like even sometime in the midnight, because there were some 1 or 2 hypo events also happened. The main thing is because, they people come to us like when they are at the edge. As I already mentioned, because, before she was only insulin deficient. But when she came to me, she was insulin deficient as well as insulin resistant. So I have to take into also consideration. So if the blood sugar is high, I just can't force more and more insulin because I know that will not work.
Yeah.
So we work on the insulin sensitive part as well. So gradually now she finally settled with this dose. And I hope that because, in these people, there are many things that we have to consider, like we use the CGM. Because CGM is the only way that we can really understood how the body will respond to the stress, exercise, sleep, food. And once she had an infection due to something, like she had a flu, again the blood sugar shoot to around 250 post meals,
Oh.
So it's a different for different body. That's why we have to follow these clients for the long term and manage. For depending on the situation, we have to manage.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, great insightful session, Dr. Kaur, and we got so many useful information, and we got to know about the critical aspect of this LADA. So thank you so much. So we can open the session for our viewers for
But before I leave, I would like to share the testimonial shared by her daughter with me.
Oh, great. Yeah, sure.
So she shared with me on my WhatsApp. So I'm just posting the screenshot.
Okay.
Okay, now you can open the session for the viewers as well. They will read it. Bye.
Okay. Yeah, we can read this. So let me read for you.
Yeah, sure. If viewers, for the viewers.
Yeah. My mother faced the daunting challenge of managing diabetes with her pancreas unable to function. The roller coaster of fluctuating sugar levels made each day a struggle. We used to get medicines and injection from the doctor who lived in Ludhiana, but alas, there was no improvement. However, a ray of hope entered our lives when we discovered a nutritional coach, Dr. Jasmeet Kaur from Moga. She was nothing short of a guardian angel, offering round-the-clock guidance and support. Whenever we reached out, she was there, providing invaluable advice on my mother's diet. Her dedication was unparalleled as she meticulously documented every aspect of her daily routine. With her unwavering assistance, my mother's journey took a remarkable turn gradually. Her sugar levels stabilized and a sense of happiness enveloped our lives. The once elusive balance was achieved thanks to her personalized recommendations. Wow. So you are improving people's health. So it's a great achievement and you are doing God's work.
So this is a real impact that we are making,
Yeah. So thank you so much for a great case study, Dr. Kaur. And it will really help so many of the patients also and the advisors also who are working with their patients. So insightful.
Thank you, Meenakshi.
So we are opening the session for our audience. If they want to ask any question from Mrs. Kaur. Yeah, any of the audience? Yeah, Yogesh ji is asking for a diabetic. Just a moment.
Anyone can unmute and ask questions. I have enabled it. Thank you.
Okay.
So this is Yogesh. Let me put my camera on as well.
Yeah.
By the way, fantastic session. I think we have back-to-back great sessions on here on this particular platform. I think last was Anoopji's, and that was amazing, very commendable. And thanks for letting us know about the LADA this time, Dr. Kaur. So I mean, few things come to my mind. I mean, in terms of when exactly a diabetic or otherwise should go for the test that we have been talking about, be it GAT, JD, or maybe the C-peptide and things like that. That's one. And because some of us might be coming across cases when, and very rarely, like, I mean, the sugar levels are normal, but probably not normal, but somewhat normal, but the HbA1c typically is deranged. So is this something similar to a LADA? I mean, does that indicate LADA creeping in or something like that? So two parts to my question. One is when to go for some of these tests, and the second is what could be the early indicators, just following like the kind of fantastic work that you do, like, I mean, following the weekly or monthly this thing, I mean, sugar levels, when exactly we can start looking at any indications of LADA as such? Thanks.
So, see, Yogesh, like in her case, she was very active physically and she was having normal weight, eating very healthy. And when she was first diagnosed, somebody should be there that at least should give some sign like she was eating very healthy, not obese, normal weight, no abdominal fat, no visceral fat, nothing was like that. So in those cases, even I think whenever client come to us, we definitely, in our low carb world, we definitely go for the fasting insulin test. And that can also give us some, signal about like if that person is not producing enough fasting insulin, then we can go for the C-peptide test as well. And then that we can monitor from time to time. sometimes even I've seen that people have reported that the GAD65, like which is the main antibody which doctor look for, even that is also negative, but still there is an autoimmune factor is there. So in those cases, they suggest that one should go for the ANA test, which is the anti-nuclear antigen or antibody test. But that is not the specific, which autoimmune condition person may be suffering from. But that is the one that we can go for and see like if person has any chances like in future for developing any kind of autoimmune condition, whatever it is. So in our world, we don't have to worry about this because we go for the fasting insulin test. And if the C-peptide, and if you see something like if ANA antibodies, or you can then look into the symptoms. Like you work with that client and even with the low carb also, if the things are not working, because anybody who is first diagnosed with the diabetes, they of course first go to the doctor. And doctor treat them similarly like the type 2 diabetes. They start with the insulin whipping drugs, but you see, with the insulin whipping drugs, her blood sugar was keep on rising. Because these insulin whipping drugs, they were stimulating the immune system. They were making the immune system more hyperactive, Because for LADA, this is the different situation is there. More you activate the beta cell, more will be the damage. So one must go for the physical, we can see like how the things are going on with her. We can see her history. Anybody who come to you, we can see the history. Sometimes in family, if somebody is suffering from any autoimmune condition, they can go for the ANA. I hope this answer your questions. If you have some doubt, you can answer. You can again
unmute yourself, Yogesh.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, I mean, that helps. Thanks for that. And again, thanks for the wonderful session.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, anyone else?
Hello. Thanks so much. It is very much informational. Is there anything related to genetics also involved in detection of LADA?
Yeah, genetic factor is there, because sometimes just people call it this LADA as a genetic type 1.5 diabetes. Genetic factor is there. But what I say is like, there are other environmental factors are there. Because we are living in a world where we are surrounding with the chemicals from morning to evening. So whatever we eat, chemicals are there. So genetic factor is there. Genes, we may have some kind of genes which can lead to this autoimmune condition. But to switch on or switch off those genes, we have to provide that environment to our body. What is actually triggering that, we don't know, because even if the genetic factor is there, but what actually is triggering those genes, that we don't know. We can't say that this person is due to genetics, he's having this issue, but somebody has triggered those genes, no? That's the main issue.
Okay. And to Yogesh's question, you have already answered. It is better after 40. If the sugar levels keeps rising, it is better to go for C-peptide test and then fasting insulin.
And fasting insulin, C-peptide, both. Better do both. Like, some people, they come to us, they are already on the insulin whipping drugs. In that scenario also, we can't go for the C-peptide. First, see what the person is taking. If he's on insulin whipping drugs, then you can't get the right idea. Like when this lady, she came to me, she was just on insulin from the last 1 to 2 months. So I just went for the C-peptide.
Understood. Thanks.
Dr. Jasmeet, I have a question for you, Poshni here. You did mention that gut dysbiosis can lead to an autoimmune, like that is kind of the early warning sign. Are there any other symptoms which people should watch out for and, maybe test ANA or something preemptively to catch it early?
Actually, there are many, like brain fog, headaches, not clearing not good bowel movements, any kind of bloating, whatever it is, that is of course leading you somewhere that you can develop the leaky gut. But people often ignore such conditions, you know that. Acid reflux, like hiccups are there, that is very common. Koi baat nahi, hiccups are there. Farting ho rahi hai, that is a good sign. You are releasing gas. People just feel like that. Bloating ho rahi hai, doesn't matter. We may have overeaten. This is what people think, So brain fog, headache ho raha hai, maybe let's take some sugar. Maybe aaj meetha nahi khaya. That's why this thing is happening. So take some glucose. Like they go in the wrong direction. That's the reason. Otherwise, if people, really listen to what their body is saying, we may, like you can catch this condition earlier so that we can live a life maybe without insulin for like 9 or 10 years. Like I have seen many people, they have reported that they lived without insulin for 9 or 10 years. They're managing well. Even now also they're managing well, like with the lower doses of insulin. There are many things that we have to look. Body always, gives signal, but we don't listen.
Just adding on to this, as you mentioned, people have been off insulin or managed it well with diet for many years. But with one autoimmune condition, it does make a person susceptible to another autoimmune condition. What are those, like any research or any inputs on how that can be reduced, or some thoughts on that, if you could shed some light on it?
Actually, Poshini, I am actually digging into this part from last like 1 month. So what I found is like, yes, people, they have, like if they have one autoimmune condition, in future, there is a tendency that they can develop another autoimmune condition, because our immune system is hyperactive. Everything that comes in our immune system is considering that as an invader. Like I see that most of the LADA patients, they low thyroid activity as well. Like this lady, she also has hypothyroidism. That could be Hashimoto's. We haven't got into that because I don't want to unless she come to me. I mentioned once because it could be Hashimoto in her case. So why it's happening? Because our immune system is hyperactive. It can attack another healthy tissue, another healthy organ, some another enzymatic pathways that can block some chemical reactions in our body. So there is no study that is available, but people are talking about this. Thyroid is the one they just, consider that if somebody is having like LADA, thyroid must be there. Because, thyroid, if somebody is having low thyroid, gut tissue is always there. But people don't consider this. Low thyroid hormones, you will definitely have low gut motility. You will definitely have some gut issues.
So managing one autoimmune condition can reduce the risk of another, definitely, with the, by eliminating the inflammatory foods and things like that.
Yes, definitely that that. Because that what we are seeing in our practice, like I have previously seen some rheumatoid arthritis case as well, 2 to 3, and we have seen that we can calm down the immune system. How we can calm down the immune system? We just eliminate the inflammatory foods, which is all in our head. And another thing is vitamin D, which is a hormone, which is the key. Why it's the key? Because it regulates our immune system, our T regulatory cells. Our T regulatory cells must work properly to calm down our immune system. And that's the fuel. Vitamin D is a fuel for our T regulatory cell. This lady, when she was first diagnosed with this LADA, her vitamin D level was below 7. See, and our pancreas, they are having a huge number of vitamin D receptors. And whosoever come to us for any kind of diabetes, even it's type 2, they are having low vitamin D level. They might not need to go to the low carbohydrate immediately. Even if you just, normalize their vitamin D level, they're doing good. So there are many factors that we have to look into. It's, every day sometimes we people speak about like, I am getting expert in this, I am getting expert in this. But what I will say that one life is not enough to get expert in any of these things. Because every day we are learning something new, every day we are learning something new. And then I realized that it's really a long way to go to really become an expert, and it's not possible in this life.
Yes.
True.
Thank you, Dr. Jasmeet.
I have one question, one more. So can we call LADA as beta cell decline? And if yes, how to differentiate from the type 1 diabetes? Because there also insulin is getting, you made a point that it is insulin resistant and also insulin insufficiency.
No. See, this type 1.5, at the time of onset of the disease, that person is not insulin resistant. Okay, that person is only insulin deficient at that time. In most of the cases, I would say, in most of the cases, I don't want to go into much detail. Otherwise, why this is the thing, how it's different from but with time people develop insulin resistance. If we follow the normal approach, if we keep them on a high carbohydrate diet, and we start with the insulin whipping drugs and all, and the things are not working, and there are other things, there is not only the autoimmune part is not only there, the nutrient deficiency part is also there.
Okay.
See, what happens is, like when this lady, she came to me, her iron level was very low, her HP was around 5 or 6, you can imagine, and her vitamin D was very low. So person is becoming insulin resistant as well, no? Because there are various nutrients that play a role when the glucose, it moves from the blood to the cells. Various nutrients, they come in, like chromium come in, like vitamin D, magnesium, there are many things. Sometimes this nutrient deficiency can lead to the insulin resistance. Lifestyle disorder is always there. If somebody is not eating, having that lifestyle disorder, but the other factors are also there, na? That we have to see. But in the case of the type 1 diabetic, these people, they are very lean. And suddenly what happens is, one day they see that the blood sugar is like 400, and immediately we have to switch them to the insulin, because there is rapid loss of beta cells.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, somebody.
Good evening, doctor. This is Jasmeet. Very good session. First time I have attended your session. And I think you have partially answered the questions that she was deficient in vitamin D and hemoglobin also. And that is what I wanted to understand, her lifestyle, that how was her sleep pattern, or was she consuming too much of grains or seed oil?
No, seed oils were not there, but yes, grains were there. Punjabi lady hai to grains to honge na. So grains were there in all the meals. But she was very active physically. She was not into that highly processed food, but the grains were there. But she was very active. Like physically, she was just housewife, but used to wake up early in the morning around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, do everything, what the housewife does. But suddenly this happened, na? It's not like she was having, it was like she was behaving normal, and suddenly the graph was going down and down.
Right. And anything about sleep patterns?
Sleep was good before, but she mentioned that when she was actually diagnosed with this condition, 2 to 3 months back, her sleep was really getting disturbed. She couldn't sleep well. And because of the fatigue, low energy, even she couldn't sleep. That's why I have shown, that on the slide, the doctor has given some insomnia drugs as well to her.
Oh,
that was all because of the nutrient deficiency. That sleep issues were due to the nutrient deficiency, na?
All right.
because
Okay,
insulin, there was not enough insulin, and she was on high carbohydrate diet, and there was nothing that nothing is there to fuel the cells. So that's why all these things would happen.
Yeah. Thanks, doctor. Very good session.
Thank you.
Yeah, anyone else? So very insightful session, Dr. Kaur.
Yeah,
I
I
think-
have one question.
Okay. Okay.
Can I?
Yeah,
Hi,
sure.
Dr. Kaur. Hi, Dr. Kaur. This is Sanjita here. So it was an amazing insight on LADA. And thanks to Sashikant sir for inviting me today. So Dr. Kaur, since you mentioned about the gut dysbiosis, so I just wanted to know, like, did you ever suggest any test for the gut? Like the stool test or any other bacterial test?
No, I didn't do anything for the gut. There are body, and many people ask me that, about this. People in the Western world, the people, they are nowadays, even in India also, the stool tests are available. You can just give your stool and they can tell you whatever bacteria is there in your, in your gut. Everything. They just tell you about if it's a good bacteria or if it's a bad bacteria, if its imbalance is there,
Yeah, the issue, good
you
and
know,
the bad.
every day, whatever you eat, our gut, the bacteria in our gut is changing each and every day.
Yeah.
So it's not at all possible to really get an accurate idea about this. So that's what I feel, I see that the body, the symptoms, we have to track the symptoms of the patient. That's much more important. If you ask for the test, these things, I think they will not give anything to us in return. That's why I just never go to in this direction, because the strategy that I follow, if it gives results like in a week or so, why should I go for these complicated tests? I don't think so. And make
Not
the
even-
life of
not
my
even the-
more complicated.
Not even the comprehensive stool test? You don't believe in that as well?
No, that I do, like, some people, like if they have some parasites, some GRDR, something like that I do. That is a regular stool test. That will definitely give you some idea about if some infection is there. Because I have seen some parasite case as well in the last year. And for that, regular monitoring of this stool is very, very important, but not for the gut dysbiosis. That will not give any idea about the gut dysbiosis.
Okay. Fine. So any sort of supplements did you advise her for the gut? Like how's her gut health presently?
Her gut health is fine, nothing wrong with that. So I just prescribed few supplements for the insulin sensitivity to improve her insulin sensitivity, basically.
Right.
For the gut, I just follow the simple, very, very simple approach, because I don't believe much in the supplements,
Right.
Because what are the supplements which are available for the gut? What are that? These are just some enzymes, apple cider vinegar, betaine hydrochloride. And then if the person is really having some leaky gut, we can go for some fuel for our gut cells. That's a good one. If somebody is like in such cases, if a person, because we know that there is some gut issues there, might be some leaky gut must be there. So we can get some fuel like for this enterocyte, the cells of our gut. That's good thing. But I never go for these enzymes and hydrochloric acid, nothing like that.
Right.
You can give something that can help them heal their gut. Like the simple thing I give, like licorice is good, which is readily available. So I just give simple things, nothing more complicated for them, because the life is already very much complicated due to these health issues.
Right. Fine. Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you.
Yeah, so बहुत ही बढ़िया session, great session. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Meenakshi, for hosting me, for taking out the time for.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to host you on our platform, and it was wonderful having you here with so many knowledge sharing tips we got, and we got so much insight about this case also. So we are more capable now
Yeah.
after listening to this podcast.
Hope so. So I would also like to thank Life. Thanks, Anu, Shashi, Arun Kumar, all the team members who were there to listen to me or for this case study. And thank you for taking out the time